Hello, good morning. How are you today? I hope you're fine. Today we're going to take chapter 6 in the story. Do you remember what's the last thing that happened in the previous chapter? Very good. The great Oz told Dorothy, if you want me to help you, then you should kill the wicked witch of the West. Do you think Dorothy will kill her? Okay, let's read and see what will happen. So the title of this chapter is The Wicked Witch of the West. Let's start reading. Dorothy left the throne room and told her friends about the wizard. He'll help me get back to Kansas, she said, only if I kill the Wicked Witch of the West. What must we do, the Tin Woodman said, before he will help us? Go and ask him, Dorothy said. I'll wait for you here. One at a time, the Tin Woodman, the Scarecrow, and the Lion asked the great wizard to help them. The Tin Woodman wanted a heart. The Scarecrow wanted some brains, and the Lion wanted courage. The great wizard said the same thing to each of them. So this means that the great Oz will only help and do what they want if they kill the wicked witch. Do you think they will be able to kill her? Let's see. I will help you only if you help Dorothy kill the Wicked Witch of the West. And so it was that Dorothy and her friends and Toto, of course, set off to find the Wicked Witch of the West. Dorothy spoke to the guardian of the gates. Can you tell me, please, she asked politely, which road leads to the Wicked Witch of the West? There's no road, the guardian said. No one ever wants to go that way. The best you can do is to keep walking to the west where the sun sets, but be careful. She will try to make slaves of you. So this means that they asked the guardian about the way, and he said there's no road there. But keep walking to the west where the sun sets, or the sun goes down. Sun sets means where the sun goes down. But be careful, she will try to make you her slaves. Do you know what's the meaning of slaves? Can you guess the meaning? Very good. Slaves are people who are owned and do what they are told. Now, let's continue. Dorothy and her friends walked all day. The sun was hot, and by late afternoon, they were all so tired that they lay down in the grass and slept. They were not far from the castle of the Wicked Witch of the West. She had only one eye, but it was as powerful as a telescope. So, the Wicked Witch of the West had only one eye, and it was so powerful like the telescope. Do you know what the meaning of the word telescope? Very good. It's a tool that is used to see the sun, the moon, and the stars. So her eyes was very powerful. Now let's continue. As she sat at the door of her castle, she could see Dorothy and her friends asleep in the grass. She was very angry to find them in her country. She blew on a whistle, and fierce wolves immediately raced toward her. Go to those people asleep in the grass, she ordered them. Tear them to pieces. So, when she saw Dorothy and her friends, she became very angry and got out a whistle and blew on it. Wheat! And immediately, at once, fierce wolves, which means angry or violent wolves, appeared. And she told them, tear them, like rip them apart, tear them to pieces. The wolves raced off to obey her. Luckily, the Tin Woodman was awake and saw them coming. Okay, what's the meaning of the word obey? Obey is to do what you are told. So when, for example, your mom orders you to clean your room, you should obey her. Do what she told you. Now let's turn to the second page. I'll fight the wolves, he said. Get behind me. There were 40 wolves, But one by one, the Tin Woodman killed them with his axe. So please highlight this part. I'll fight the wolves. From I'll fight the wolves until the Tin Woodman killed them with his axe. So this means that, okay, let's highlight it together. Here, from here until here. Perfect. Now, this means that the Tin Woodman saw the wolves coming to them, and he said, I'll fight the wolves. Get behind me. Come and stay behind me. And how many wolves were they? Excellent. 40 wolves. And he got his axe and started to kill them one by one. Okay, let's continue. When the Wicked Witch of the West saw her wolves lying dead, she was even angrier than before. She became more angry. This time she blew her whistle twice. Weet, weet! A huge flock of crows flew toward her. Now, what's the meaning of the word flock of crows? Here, let's highlight it together. A huge flock of crows. What's the meaning of the word flock of crows? When there's lots of crows, do you know the crow? It's the black bird. When there's a lot of crows, we say a flock of crows. Like, for example, a lot of fish, we say a school of fish. So, when she blew her whistle twice, 2 times, a huge flock of crows came to her. Now, let's see what she told them. Fly at once to those strangers, she ordered them, and pick them to pieces. So she told the flock of crows to fly to these strangers, to Dorothy and her friends, and she told them, pick them to pieces. What's the meaning of the word pick? It's to bite when the bird bites with its beak. The beak is the mouth of the bird. So pick them to pieces. So let's continue. The Scarecrow saw them coming. Leave this to me, he said. I'll deal with these crows. Now let's highlight this part. The Scarecrow saw them coming. Leave this to me, he said. I'll deal with these crows. Because he's a scarecrow. And we said that the scarecrow scares the crow away. So he said, I'll deal with these crows. Okay, now let's see what he will do. And this is what he did. One by one, he killed the crows until they all lay dead at his feet. Now, do you think that the Wicked Witch will be happy about this? No, she will become angry. Very good. So when the Wicked Witch of the West saw her crows laying dead, she was even angrier than before. 3 times she blew her whistle. Weet, weet, weet. Immediately, a giant swarm of bees flew up to her. So swarm of bees, highlighted, swarm of bees. What is a swarm of bees? Excellent, when there are a lot of bees. Very good. So they came to her. Let's see what she will tell the bees to do. Fly at once to those strangers, she ordered them, and sting them to death. What's the meaning of the word sting? Sting is when the bee uses its needle to pinch the needle it has. It uses it to pinch them. It's called sting. Okay, so let's see what will happen. The Scarecrow and the Tin Woodman saw the bees coming. Take my straw and cover Dorothy, Toto, and the lion with it, the Scarecrow said. These bees can't hurt us. I'm made of straw and you're made of tin. So the Scarecrow said, take my straw. The Tin Woodman will take the straw and cover Dorothy, Toto, and the lion with his straw. And also, he said that the bees can't hurt us. Why? Because he's made out of straw. How can the bees sting the straw? And the Tin Woodman was made out of tin, out of metal. They will not be able to sting that tin. Okay, let's continue. The bees stung the Scarecrow and the Tin Woodman. but did not hurt them. They were not hurt. The bees all died. However, because a bee dies when it uses its sting. So do you know that the bee, once it stings a person or it uses its sting, its needle, it immediately dies. So do you think the wicked witch will be happy? No. Very good. So let's see what she will do next. Next, the wicked witch of the west ordered her slaves, the Winkies. So the slaves of the wicked witch are called the Winkies. Excellent, very good. To attack the strangers. They did so, but the lion gave a great roar and frightened them so much that they all ran away. So when the Winkies were coming to attack the strangers, Dorothy and her friends, the lion roared and they were all frightened away. Now, let's see what will the witch do next. The wicked witch of the west had one final weapon. She went to a cupboard in her castle and took a golden cap. So the cap was golden. The color of it was golden. It was covered with jewels, like jewelry. Whoever owned it could make the winged monkeys obey them. Okay, let's highlight the word winged monkeys. And by the name of it, winged monkeys, they are monkeys that have wings. So they are different from the Winkies. The Winkies are the slaves, but the winged monkeys are monkeys that have wings. Okay, let's continue. But no one could call them more than 3 times. So how many times can you call the winged monkeys? Very good. 3 times only. The wicked witch of the west had only 1 coal left. So she only had 1 coal left. She decided to use her last coal to destroy Dorothy and her friends. So she stood on her left foot and said slowly, "Ip, pee, pip, pee, cow, kee." Then she stood on her right foot and said slowly, "Hill, low, ho, low, hell, low." Then she stood on both feet and shouted, "Zee, zee, zoo, zee, zik." So she said the spell. Let's see what will happen. The sky darkened, and suddenly the wicked witch of the west was surrounded by flying monkeys. So what happened after she said the spell? The sky was dark, and the winged monkeys were flying around her. The biggest of them, who was the king of the monkeys, said, let's turn to the next page. Okay, you called us. This was your last call. What do you want us to do? Let's see what you will ask the winged monkeys to do. Okay, so let's see what you will ask the winged monkeys to do. Kill all the strangers except the lion. Bring him to me. I will use him instead of a horse to pull my coat. So she wanted the winged monkeys to kill all Dorothy and her friends except for who? Very good, for the lion. Why? Because she wanted to use the lion as a horse to pull her what? Her coat. Excellent. Now, let's see what will happen. The monkeys flew toward Dorothy and her friends. Some of them picked up the Tin Woodman and then dropped him onto the rocks. He was so bent that he could not move. So, you know, the Tin Woodman was made out of tin, out of metal. So when they lifted him up high and left him at once, he fell on rocks and he was bent. He was not able to move. Let's see what will happen to the scarecrow. Some pulled all the straw out of the scarecrow's head and body until his clothes were completely empty. So they started to pull out the straw from the scarecrow until he became empty. Do you think they will be able to kill Dorothy, the lion, Dorothy and Toto too? Let's see. The others tied up the lion with rope and carried him away. So they tied the lion, as you can see in the picture, with rope and carried him away. Dorothy was frightened. I'll be next, she thought. But the monkeys did not hurt her. They did not hurt her. Let's see why. She has the kiss of the good witch on her forehead. Remember, she was kissed. So let's highlight it. She had the kiss. She had the kiss of the good witch on her forehead. The king of the monkeys told the others, carry her gently, like softly, to the wicked witch of the west castle. When the wicked witch of the west saw Dorothy, she was afraid. Why do you think she was afraid? Let's see. Not only does she have the kiss mark on her forehead, she thought, she is also wearing the magic silver shoes. So she was also wearing the magic silver shoes. But she probably doesn't know how powerful they are. So she thinks that the wicked witch thinks that Dorothy doesn't know how powerful the silver shoes are. Let's continue and see what will happen. I will make her my slave. So the wicked witch said, I will make her my slave. Come with me, she said, and do as I tell you. If you don't, I shall do to you what I did to the Tin Woodman and Scarecrow. So she told Dorothy, if you did not obey my orders, I will destroy you like I destroyed the Tin Woodman and the Scarecrow. Okay, let's see what will happen. She made Dorothy cook and clean, cut wood for the fire, and do all the work in the castle. While Dorothy worked, the wicked witch of the west tried to make, let's turn to the next page. So the witch tried to make the lion pull her coat, but he roared at her. So she said, if you don't do what I say, I shall not give you any food and you will die. So this means that the lion refused. He did not want to obey her orders. And she told him, if you don't do what I say, I will not give you any food and you will die. The lion said nothing, but he refused to pull the coat. He did not die, though. Why? Why didn't he die? Because Dorothy brought him food every night. So every night Dorothy would come and bring the lion food. That's why he did not die. Dorothy had to work long hours, and she was very sad. Even Toto was sad because he saw Dorothy crying. So Dorothy was crying and Toto was very sad. As for the wicked witch, she planned to take the silver shoes from Dorothy's feet. So she was making a plan to take the shoes from Dorothy's feet. Let's see what is her plan. The problem was that she was afraid of the dark, so would not go into Dorothy's room at night. So this means that the wicked witch had a problem. She was not able to take the silver shoes. Why? Because the first thing, she was afraid of the dark. So this means that she wouldn't go to Dorothy's room at night. She was also afraid of water, so would never go near Dorothy when she was washing. So let's highlight this part also. She was also afraid of the water. So this means that she would never go beside Dorothy when she was cleaning. So how is she going to do this plan? Let's see. One day, however, she had a plan. She put a piece of metal in the middle of the room. Then, using magic, she made the piece of metal invisible. So she used her magic on the metal that she put on the middle of the room and made it invisible. Invisible means that you can't see it. Okay, let's see what will happen. When Dorothy came into the room, she did not see the piece of metal and fell over it. She fell over the piece of metal. The Wicked Witch immediately ran up and pulled off one of the shoes. So when Dorothy was laying on the floor, she went to Dorothy and she pulled one of her shoes. Dorothy was very angry. "Give me back my shoe!" she shouted at the Wicked Witch. "Never!" the Wicked Witch said. "And now I have half of your power." Dorothy was so angry that she picked up a bucket of water that was in the middle of the room and threw it over the Wicked Witch. Remember, she was afraid of the water. Let's see what will happen. The Wicked Witch screamed. "Do you know what you have done?" she cried. "Now I shall melt. I shall die." And before Dorothy's eyes, the Wicked Witch began to melt. So she was melting from the water. And soon there was nothing left of her except a pool on the floor. So there was nothing left from the Wicked Witch except a pool of water on the floor. And that's how chapter 6 ended. Okay, so now we finished reading chapter 6. Now we will start answering the questions. So please, can you open your booklets to page number 33? Okay, perfect. Now, page number 33, the first question, it's homework. It says, put the sentences in order from first to last. So it's not true or false questions. No, we're going to put the sentences from by order. What happened first? What happened second? And so on. Now, the next question, we will do it together. It says, answer the following questions. Now, let's read the first question. Why couldn't the witch take Dorothy's shoes? Who can answer? Perfect. So the witch couldn't take Dorothy's shoes because she had the kiss on her forehead and she was wearing the silver shoes. 1 minute. Also, she couldn't take Dorothy's shoes because she was afraid of the dark and the water. Excellent. So let's write the answer. So, 1 minute. Okay, so the witch couldn't take her shoes because she was afraid of the water and the dark. Perfect. Next, what happened when the witch called the Winkies? Who can answer? What happened when the witch called the Winkies? Perfect. So the answer is the lion gave them a great roar and scared them away. Very good. Now let's move on to the next page. Okay. Question number 3. What was the witch's last wish from the winged monkeys? Huh? What did she tell the winged monkeys to do? Very good. To kill Dorothy and her friends, except for the lion, to use him as a horse to pull her coach. Very good. Now, the next question is homework. It says choose the best answer. You're going to choose the correct answer. So for example, how come the bees didn't kill Dorothy, Toto, and the lion? You're going to read the choices and choose the correct answer. Now, let's move to the second page. Also, the second page is homework, and here the other exercise also it's homework. Circle the correct word. So you're going to read the sentence and circle the correct word. So for example, the guardian of the gate told the travelers that the wicked witch wanted to make them slaves or servants. You're going to circle the correct answer. Now, next page. We're going to answer it together. Okay, so the next page, the question says, comment on the following quotations. And remember, we say who, said to who, and when. Okay, don't forget when. So the first one, it says, I'll fight the wolves. Who said this? Huh? Who can tell me? Excellent. The Tin Woodman said it to who? Very good, to the Scarecrow. When he saw the wolves coming to them to tear them apart. Perfect. Now the second one. Leave this to me. I'll deal with these crows. Huh? Who said this? Very good. The Scarecrow said this to who? Super, to the Tin Woodman. When the flock of crows were coming to peck them. Very good. Now, the bees can't hurt us. Who said this? Very good. The Tin Woodman said this to who? The Scarecrow. When the swarm of bees were coming to sting them. Perfect. Now the last one. Now I shall melt, I shall die. Who said this? Super! The Wicked Witch of the West said this to who? Very good, Dorothy. When she threw at her the bucket of water. Excellent. Now, the next page is also homework. The first question, how did the Wicked Witch of the West tell the wolves to come to her? You're going to answer complete sentences, using complete sentences. Don't write for me only one word. No, please use complete sentences. So that's it for chapter 6. Thank you. Goodbye.